Video 31. So previously we have seen two methods. First method, what is known as direct method. Second method, CP method, that is conditional premise method. Now we have come to the third one, indirect method. Indirect method. Indirect method. So problem number 1, prove that P conditional Q, Q conditional or, P or R implies or using indirect method. Using indirect method. Proof. Premises are P conditional Q, Q conditional R, and P or R. So conclusion is R. So indirect method means we have to assume the contrary of what we want to prove. We want to conclude R is true. So we are going to prove R is not true, that is negation of R is true. We have to assume to prove or assume the contrary that negation or steps reasons 1, whether any say conclusion or, we have assumed that negation or is one of the assumptions that involves only one variable, so we conclude negation or, contrary assumption. So when you have negation or, here we have P implies Q is one hypothesis, Q implies R is another hypothesis. So this is premise, this is another premise. Now we can apply transitive property. P conditional Q, Q conditional R means we will get P conditional R. This is using hypothetical syllogism in, say this is 2, 3, 4, in 2 and 3. Now you have P conditional or, here we have negation or, so you take the contrary of this result. What is the contrary of this result? 5. Contrapositive. Contrapositive is take negation on both sides and reverse it. Negation or conditional negation P. Contrapositive. So our aim is to arrive at a contradiction. Contrapositive of 4. Now you have negation or, you have P. You have P implies Q. So using modus ponens in 1 and 5, we get negation P. So we have negation or conditional negation P, therefore negation P using modus ponens in 1 and 5. And what else we have? P or R is there, that is as P or R. 7 premise. So P or R, but not P, so definitely we should get R. So this is what is known as disjunctive syllogism. Disjunctive syllogism in 6 and 7. So you get or. So you have or and also you have negation or. So or and negation or, which is a contradiction. This is conjunction of 8 and 1. Conjunction of 8 and 1. So thus we have arrived at a contradiction. So thus we have arrived at a contradiction. This contradiction arose because we assumed negation or. Therefore or is true. So thus we get or. So this method is known as proof by contradiction, indirect method. That is, we have to assume opposite of what we want to prove. That is negation of what we want to prove. So we want to prove or. For that we assume negation or. With the help of negation or, we have arrived at a contradiction. This contradiction arose only because we assumed negation or. Therefore or is true. So this completes first problem. So let us go to the second problem. Problem number 2. Same indirect method. Using indirect method of proof. Using indirect method of proof, derive P conditional negation yes. Derive this from the premises. What are the premises? P conditional Q or Q conditional negation P, yes conditional negation or, and P. That is also premise, and P. So proof. Premises or P conditional Q or Q conditional negation P, yes conditional negation or, and P. Conclusion must be P conditional negation yes. P condition. To prove this, assume the contrary that what is it? This P conditional, P is already there. P conditional negation is assume the contrary that we have yes. S is the contrary. Because P is already there, we want to prove P conditional negation yes. So we want to prove negation is only. So this is steps, reasons. Step 1. So we have S also there, we have P also there. We can use one by one. First we can assume yes. If we have yes, that is what is a contrary assumption? Contrary assumption. 2. Yes conditional negation or is there. Yes conditional negation or premise. So yes is there, yes modus ponens. We have negation or, using modus ponens in 1 and 2. So you will get negation or. Okay, now here we have yes implies negation or, and we have used yes. Now we will use our P. What is our P? P is premise, P is premise, and P conditional Q or this is also premise. Now same modus ponens, P is there. If P then Q or is there, the conclusion is Q or using modus ponens in 4 and 5. We have Q, we have negation or, that is either Q or, but negation or is there, or cannot happen, so definitely Q should happen. So therefore Q, here this is called using disjunctive syllogism in 3 and 6. You have not or, here either Q or cannot happen because of 3, therefore Q should be true. So you will get Q, we have obtained Q. If we have Q, you will get negation P, that is there, that is premise. Q conditional negation P premise. Therefore you have Q and you have Q conditional negation P, therefore you will get negation P using modus ponens in 7 and 8. Now you have P and you have negation P, so you will get a contradiction. P negation P is a contradiction, a contradiction. So this contradiction proves that our assumption was wrong. Therefore the conclusion is, therefore yes must be there, P already there, therefore P conditional yes is true. So this completes problem number 2, indirect method, and video 31.